Hey, what's up YouTube? Houston here. For those of you just finding my YouTube channel, welcome. Please remember to hit that subscribe button and that bell. And for those of you that's been following me and supporting me, salute. And for my favorite patrons, always, double salute. Now, today's video, we're going to actually talk about how to get a Navy Federal $25,000 high limit credit card increase. Now, for some of you all that look at a lot of different Navy Federal cards, of course, you all know that, hey, you can do a credit card increase over periods of time, every like 90 days, right? However, here's the thing about it, or should I say, adding to that, they have an automated process as well. You can call in and tell them that you want them to unlock your automatic credit line increase process. And so what they do is they unlock that component, so that way they get the chance to keep on reviewing your credit file to see what's going on, so they can give you those automatic increases. Okay, so that's one way that you can get up to the 25,000. All right, and remember, I made the video and it does still work. Some people said it don't work, but a lot of people are still using that method, is where they have like a 530, 580 credit score, and they're getting high limit credit cards. So in terms of what it is that they're doing to actually do this, well, let's look at the approval requirements so that you can understand why you want to approach Navy Federal this way. Okay, one is not only becoming a member, but having open accounts. So opening a personal account, a savings account. I had one client had a 555 credit score, and he just opened up his account brand new, and he was like, well, because I have a 550, I don't know if I'll qualify. And the lady said, well, let us try anyway. And I think they gave him like maybe a $5,500 credit card with a 550 credit score just off the bat. Okay, now again, like I said, so he ended up bypassing the end rewards where you pay $200 up front, and then after 6 months they turn it into $2,000. So that really helped him with a 530 credit score. However, you have to understand, what did he do just to be a brand new and to start out even with a 555 credit score? Okay, so it was to open accounts. He opened a savings account, he opened a personal account, he opened a CD, and he did direct deposit. Why did he do all this? Because of internal scoring. Internal scoring is so important with Navy Federal. That's the reason you see a lot of people that have the challenging credit, the 500 credit scores and stuff, and they're still getting the $25,000 credit line, is because of the internal scoring. Now, one of the things I tell you, when you open up your checking accounts and savings accounts, don't just open them up. Make sure that you're doing weekly deposits, even if it's like $25 a week deposits or whatever. Just make sure you have that activity currently going on, because it really makes a difference. Now, another thing, let's address the income. Okay, one of the things that I continue to tell you guys, and understanding about income with Navy Federal or with any financial institution, you want to put down as all the income in your household. So if you're renting out a room and they're responsible for sharing the bills with you, then you have to count that as income on your thing. I'm not telling you to lie. I'm telling you, if you have a spouse, you count her income or his income, okay? But if you have a if you have a roommate that's helped paying the rent and stuff like that, then the income that they contribute to paying the bills, you should calculate that in, okay? If you retire and you have annuities, or you have a child that's staying with you and you're retired, or you're on disability, but you have a child that has income that's contributing to the household, that's income, okay, that you can actually put down on the application. All right, that's very important. Now, that being said, on the application, this is another big factor in terms of how much rent. Now, in terms of rent, I always tell people you should average between 15-20% 8% of your rent on the application, right? The reason is because they're looking at these applications, they're looking at the numbers and stuff, and they're trying to determine your debt to income ratio. So in terms of like rent, if you're paying $1,500 rent and your household income is $85,000, right? So again, you may have bad credit. However, you have good stability income. This may be something that can help determine them to qualify you for a higher limit credit card, because even though you may have challenging credit, they may be past accounts that have been charged off or whatever and they stop reporting. You don't know what it is or whatever, but they're looking at, okay, they have a decent income, they have a low rent. They're also in terms of looking at the amount of inquiries, okay? Now, here's the secret to this. Here's the secret sauce to inquiries. I tell you guys, when inquiries and where they're pulling from is TransUnion FICO 9, right? So I do have a couple lenders in this video I'm going to talk about that pull your FICO 9 credit score. So we're going to talk about that because that's very important for you in terms of trying to get a higher limit credit card. So we're going to talk about that. Now, explaining about these inquiries. When you have over 8 inquiries within a 2-year time period with Navy Federal, again, that raises a red flag for them because they're like, okay, what's going on? Now, in terms of you trying to get those inquiries removed within, say, a 24-hour time period, then you must do a couple things. That's where you have to freeze your Sage Stream credit file as well as your LexisNexis. So if you freeze those two, then you reach out to the fraud department of Experian, TransUnion, Equifax, and these are inquiries that you're not familiar with, then you can let them know that, hey, there's some activity on my file that I'm not familiar with, that I did not agree to. Then, like within 24 hours, some of these credit bureaus, I know Experian may do it within 24 hours. Sometimes with TransUnion and Equifax, they may want you to send over your ID and proof of address in order for them to investigate it, okay? So this is very important in terms of helping you get qualified for higher limit credit cards with Navy Federal, all right? Now, this last thing is very important. Your utilization. Now, in terms of your utilization, okay, I always tell people, if you already have a credit card with Navy Federal and it's a low limit or it's high limit, I would suggest that you would try to get it down to about 9%, okay? Some people say 30, I say 9, okay? Because the lower the utilization, the more it determines that, hey, he can actually handle a higher limit credit, right? And so in terms of, again, when you're trying to get a credit line increase, you do not want to call them on the phone. You want to go through the app to request a credit line increase, all right? Now, again, in terms of utilization, if you already have accounts with Navy Federal, all right? Those open credit cards that you have with them that are less than $25,000, then you want to pay those credit cards down to at least 9%. Once you pay those credit cards down to at least 9%, then you request a higher limit increase, okay? The reason is you will have a higher chance of getting a higher limit credit card with them, okay? Now, also adding to that, your other accounts that you have a high utilization, especially your revolving accounts. Not talking about your loans, but your revolving accounts. If they have a high utilization, sometimes that can keep you below the $25,000, okay? Now, one other thing that I would tell you that may be of an advantage to you, if you're also banking with another credit union. Again, Navy Federal likes relationships, okay? So if you're dealing with more than one credit union, that also can give you an advantage as well. All right, so those are the 5 things. Now, adding to that, let's talk about in terms of going back to the rent, because a lot of people miss this opportunity. They're paying rent, but it's not reporting on their credit file, okay? And because if you have the rent reported on your credit file, most of these companies that you're looking at, they report up to 2 years plus the amount of time you actually been at the apartment or wherever you're at. So if you've been there for, say, 5 years, they'll report 2 years of history, but they also state that you've been at, or say, opened account 5 years ago or whatever. So that's how they look on the credit file. But the reason that's good is because they're actually aging the file. This is very important when you're trying to raise more capital. When you're trying to get higher limit credit cards and stuff, the more stability you show at the residence that you're at, or the longer time period you've been at the residence, the better they feel about actually giving you higher limit credit cards. So having rent reported on there, showing 2 years of credit history, it shows stability. That's the reason that people say add rent. Because again, the more stability you show at your residence, the higher chances are to you actually getting up to that $25,000 or more. Now, what's the best type of accounts to have on your file when you're trying to get high limit credit cards with Navy Federal? I would tell you furniture accounts like Rooms to Go. They're through Synchronous Bank. Sometimes you can actually do the credit card hack. Since it's Synchronous, do the credit card hack, abandon hack, and where you end up with a high limit credit account with Rooms to Go. They report to all credit bureaus. Because it ends up being a higher limit, Navy Federal, they looks at that, okay, you have a higher limit, because they may give you a $10,000 credit line for Rooms to Go, right? And even though you may not plan on using that $10,000 credit line, the thing about it, it's on your credit file. It's going to help you to get approved for that $15,000, $20,000, $25,000 credit card with Navy Federal. Also, K Jewelers. Now with K Jewelers, again, they may look at when you're getting K Jewelers, they may start you at a 5,000, 10,000, depends on the type of jewelry that you're going after, right? So having like a K Jewelers on there, something that actually gives you a high limit. Also, maybe you having a car loan that has a car loan, a personal loan. Now, in terms of personal loans, some people they like to do the pledge loans, which helps the credit enormously, especially also with Navy Federal pledge loans, because it helps with internal scoring, right? So those are great. However, I'm gonna tell you something. If you're not in a position to get a credit loan for some of these traditional lenders, then you may want to look at a company like Credit Loans that don't look at the credit. They look at the time you've been on the job, the time you've been at the resident, your income, okay? Because they have a 90% approval chance, right? Because they have such a high approval, even if you have bad credit, the maximum they may give you is 5,000. However, you can either take that 5,000 and you can put it on the Sable card and let that Sable card turn into a primary trade line after 4 months, or you can use that $5,000 to do a pledge loan with Navy Federal, and that's also, again, because of the internal scoring, will give you a higher chance of getting $25,000. Okay, so this is why I tell people credit loans. There's another one, personalloans.com. You have Cash USA. They go up to 10,000. But the main thing about these type of lenders, they're not looking at the credit score. They're looking at, again, your employment history, the time you've been on the job, your income, and your resident. Okay, those are the factors that they actually look at. Now, in reference to some FICO 9 credit cards, okay? Because Navy Federal pulls FICO 9, right? So if they pull in FICO 9 And we know that we can build up FICO 9 with rental history, utility bills, subscriptions and stuff. Then we want to go for credit cards that actually pull from FICO 9, right? And because they'll give you possibly a higher chance of getting a higher limit credit card as well. And then that way Navy Federal, they're looking at this, that you've got these higher limit credit cards to be able to help you get that $25,000 credit card, because they can see that, okay, you already have higher limit credit cards, and as long as you keep your utilization under 9%, you get, again, you're having the higher chances of getting larger limits. Now, that being said, with the Patel 1 and the Patel 2, the Patel 1 goes from 300 to 5,000. The Patel 2 goes from 300 to 10,000. Adding to that, again, it's all about cash flow. It's all about education. How long you've been at the resident. How long you've been at the job. Okay? Those are the things that they're actually looking at. Now, here's another one. Say that you don't have like bad credit, but you have a high DTI, right? So then you probably want to look at a lender like Upgrade, because their DTI goes up to 75%. Okay. Now, unfortunately, they don't operate in Colorado, Idaho, New York, Vermont, Virginia, Wisconsin, and Wyoming. But at the same time, if you're able to get a $10,000, and the good thing about it, like Upgrade, Upstart, like if you just coming out of a bankruptcy, because you no longer have the debt, Chapter 13, Chapter 7, Chapter 11, bankruptcy, because you no longer have that debt, they will give you usually between $5,000 to $10,000, okay, just off bat. As many credit files as I looked at, and people having either Upgrade or Upstart, the average I've been seeing is between $5,000 to $10,000. Even though they start at $500 to $50,000, the average I've been seeing is about $10,000. And again, these are people that's coming fresh out of a bankruptcy that is given them. So they really don't, they're really starting their credit score over, lower than a 678, which is average here. But again, you don't have to have a 678. You don't have to be making $78,000 in order to get this type of card, okay? So that's the reason this is important. Now, here's another thing. If you, because this also helps your FICO 9 credit score, adding an authorized user. Adding an authorized user can help you go anywhere from 25 almost to 80 points. 25 to 80 points, depending on what type of credit file, depending on the type of trade line and stuff like that. But this is something that I would definitely tell you in terms of if you're trying to get funded, because a lot of people is about to get spooked. And I'm going to tell you why. Because of the new FICO 10 and the FICO 10T that's going to be coming out. But a lot of lenders that even with the FICO 9 rolled out, they stuck with the FICO 8. Okay, so that's why I'm telling people I'll make a video about the FICO 10. But in terms of just having low utilization, minimum inquiries, good income, those are the things that really is going to factor in, and how long of a relationship you have with the financial institution. Those are the things that are actually going to make a difference in terms of helping you get high limits of credit cards with credit unions or banks. So with Navy Federal, getting $25,000 credit limits is not hard. Again, you can easily do it if you already have a Navy Federal account. It's been over 90 days, then you can do a credit line increase through your phone, through the app. Do not call in and do it. Don't do that, because it's going to cause a hard inquiry. You only want soft inquiries, okay? And then also, the only time you want to call them is asking them to activate the automatic credit line increase. Again, with some of the, unfortunately, with some of the agents that work for Navy Federal, they may not be familiar with it. So you may have to call back. But again, it's something that can give you leverage. That's what you actually want. Now, If any of you may have questions about your FICO 9, your FICO 8 credit score, you need a consultation because you're trying to get funding and things of that nature, or trying to figure out the best strategy to help build up or repair your personal credit, click the link below and schedule a one-on-one with three-way funding. Thank you.